back, everybody. So today we're going to have the next tasting of my small batch rye IPA batch 5. This one is, I would say, a little different from all the other ones. If you haven't, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. I have done reviews on all of them up to this point, the first tastings, and this one is the biggest, say in ABV and IBU. So this one should be interesting because I'm doing all 1 through 7 rye IPA batches at once. Then I will do a side-by-side of all of them so we can kind of pick out maybe what other stuff is doing, like maybe what a hop is doing, what a malt is doing differently than anything else. So I did make a brew day video. I will try and remember to link it up here so you can go check that out. But this one, again, small batch, 1.25 gallons going into the fermenter. 1 pound or 2 pounds, 1 ounce of pale malt. I did use 2-row malt. 5.5 ounces of white wheat, 5.5 ounces of rye, 3.75 ounces, 3.7 ounces of flake rye, 1 hour boil, 0.28 ounces of Mosaic at 60, 0.28 ounces of Chinook and Mosaic at 5. For the dry hop, 0.24 ounces of Mosaic, 0.12 ounces of Chinook and Citra. So when I make these small batches, and I think I put out a video of scaling recipes in Beersmith, and one thing that I mentioned, I don't like to just make one. I want to make multiple just to see how other stuff tastes. And I think in batch 3, batch 4, and batch 5, I left that Citra in there. Now, I do remember from one, I'm not sure which one it was, but the first tastings, I didn't think that fruit from that Citra played well with that rye, but I haven't found it yet, so maybe it's this one. But as I said in the beginning, this is a let's say bigger one. So this was bottled on 5/6, so a little over 2 months old. 8.8% ABV, 92.9 IBUs. If I remember correctly, we're going to be able to taste this, or feel it, or whatever you want to say. Okay, hiss, good smoke. Go ahead and get it into a glass. And that is because I used Mosaic. The Mosaic I used is 12.5% ABV, or 12.5 alpha acids. And I think the Centennial, the original batches, that was 6, I think. 6% alpha acids. So those IBUs are really going to jump quick. I didn't fill the glass very far. Off-white, kind of tannish head, small and medium bubbles, about a quarter finger of head. Very hazy orange color. And this is using the white wheat. See, now this one in the color, and I'm going to do a side-by-side of all 7 of them. This is more like a burnt orange color. Like I was using the caramalts. Good carbonation level, lots of bubbles coming up, but yeah, burnt orange. Definitely looks like I used caramel. Let's go ahead and smell. Almost like a candy, juicy fruit in there. But I am getting some spice. Yeah, like I don't know if that candied is more from the sweetness, like leftover residual sugars in the malt that the yeast didn't eat. Maybe the yeast got conked out, but yeah, it's more of a candy, juicy fruit spice with a hint of spice on the end. A little bit of malt. I'll take that back. It is wheat. Yeah. So candied juicy fruit spice with wheat, if that makes any sense. Let's go ahead and try this. Danky. That's the first thing. Danky, lots of bitterness, huge bitterness. I think that bitterness is covering up the spice. Body's a little thin, but if we drew off most of the sugar, I can see the body being thin. It's not as dry. It is dry, but not as dry as beer number 4 was. A little sweet, older, juicy fruit up front. Then that bitterness just wrecks everything. Really. Aftertaste, I almost want it more of a citrus, like a melon citrus, big bitterness, like a zest, citrus zest, let's say, in there. But it's definitely big on the bitterness side. And I think that bitterness is covering up the spice. The spice could be there, but I'm just perceiving it as bitterness. But I always say you can't taste over 100 IBUs. You can definitely taste this at almost 93 IBUs. It's funny though, the body obviously doesn't match, but my guess is that USO5 yeast ate through and conked out pretty much when it was done eating the sugar. And that's what's leading to the body being a little thinner and the drying out. You know, brewed IPA, they're going to ferment all that sugar out of there, so it's very dry. And that's kind of what I'm getting out of this. Just that bitterness is very, very big in this one. It's like almost overwhelming. Maybe, yeah, I think there is some spice in there. But it's like you get that older fruit with a little bit of sweetness up front, and then, yeah, it just turns big time hoppy bitterness. I'm not really getting the dank, as I said at the beginning, on this one. That one, see, that one in the aftertaste, I have to take another drink. There, for a moment in the aftertaste, it's very juicy fruit, like almost a sweeter juicy fruit, but just for a second, and then that bitterness, probably spice takes back over in there. Then it's like dry. I don't know what to think about this one. I think this one needs more hops. It needs something up front in that taste. Maybe to help smooth that bitterness out. Another set of dry hops, like a double dry hopped, might help it. I want to say lactose, like it needs sweetness to help cancel that bitterness spice out. But that's almost saying, okay, it is, that yeast chewed through everything, brought down the body because there's not as much sugar. The more sugar you have, the thicker your body's going to be. Yeah, I think it fermented too much. Like it should have stopped. I ferment all mine for 10 days. But yeah, I don't know, when it was finished, but it seems like this one needs more sugar. It would probably help with that juicy fruit in there. It's still good. Would I brew it again? No. It's too bitter. I shouldn't say it's too bitter. The bitterness level is too high. I wouldn't want more than one. Like a 22 would be fine, but I wouldn't go back for any more. And I would like to go back for more if I'm making a 5 gallon batch. So I would want that bitterness to be way down. So I would probably turn that Mosaic at 60 because that's given us 69.3 IBUs. I would probably turn that back to Centennial and just see what that Mosaic did for the rest. So that's probably what I would do. Bitterness, spice is way too high, at least for my liking to drink more than one of them. So if you enjoyed this video, check some more homebrew videos out over here. And until next time, happy brewing.